Hello, and welcome to Laudan Properties Vendor New Hire Training Webinar. This presentation will review the expectations and requirements of being an active vendor in our network, along with the tools and equipment needed to complete work orders. This presentation will also go over policies and best practices, which are made available to you in order to be a successful partner with Laudan. Laudan Properties is a regional property preservation company based out of Cleveland, Ohio. We have been in business since 2007 and offer inspection, preservation, REO, and property management services throughout the Midwest and Southeast United States. Laudan Properties' commitment and focus is based on three objectives: quality, performance, and communication. Quality and performance is extremely important to ensure we are meeting and exceeding our clients' expectations. Communication is key in meeting those objectives. Our organization has been designed to provide all the resources and support to our vendor network. We require the same expectation of communication of our partners out in the field. This includes prompt responses to phone and/or email inquiries, status updates, and industry trends found out in the field. To better assist our network, we have created our contractor portal, which is made available on our website and on propertypreswizard.com. The portal contains various best practice information, Laudan memos, client-specific requirements and signage, photo checklists, convey checklists, and other valuable resources to better assist in completing your assigned work orders. Access to the contractor portal will be made available to you once you are set up as a vendor in our work order management system, PPW. Bidding best practices. Bidding is a mandatory requirement on all work orders that is not within an allowable or a client-specific requirement which requires a bid. There are a couple reasons for this requirement. First, it's a protection for you and for Laudan against any future insurance or damage claims. If we fail to report damages such as mold, roof damages, missing AC condensers, or appliances, we may be held responsible for their repair at a later date. We don't want this to happen to you or us, so by providing bids on all damages and preservation items, we'll ensure we are providing the most accurate property condition. This also provides an opportunity for you to maximize your dollar amount potential per property. As you know, this is where you make your money. And with you making money provides that over and above service we are providing to our clients. What types of items should we be bidding on? This list will review the common preservation items that should be bid if the condition exists. Such items include damages, both interior and exterior, broken windows, bid to board and reglaze, debris, separating interior and exterior, and also separating any hazards and personals, any other hazards, roof damages, shrubs, trees, or any other type of foliage touching the property, pools, either by securing gates if they're present, or draining, shocking, and boarding, and in cases of an above-ground pool, a bid to drain and remove, lock changes and lock boxes, moving exterior personals to the interior of the property, graffiti or any other types of vandalism, sump pumps, mold, and any other safety concerns. And on an REO side, along with the preservation items we just reviewed, any needed landscaping to help improve the image of the property, pressure washing, painting, appliances, removing carpets, flooring, and removing personals. When providing bids, you must have the proper documentation. This includes photos, dimensions, including a location and quantity, and a detailed description of the repair, including any materials and labor required. The more relevant details provided in your bids, the more justified they become. Therefore, if you provide a bid that is missing any of this information, or are lumped together, or just generally vague, the work order will be returned to you for correction and resubmit. We'll review a couple of items we want to make sure we are 100% compliant, one of which is mold. As you are aware, mold can cause a large amount of destruction to a property and therefore need to be extremely accurate in our reporting and bidding. When you visit a property, you will come across several types of mold. The first type will be your common surface mold. Your bid should include cleaning with a bleach solution and painting the affected area with Kills. Please make sure you are providing the dimensions of the affected area, along with what room it is located and the source, as best as you can determine. This information is extremely important. There will be some properties that you'll find the mold to be a bit more extensive, and at this point the affected areas will need to be removed. Your bid should include the removal of the affected areas, cleaning the studs with a bleach solution, and painting with Kills. Again, make sure your bids include the dimensions of the affected area, the room location, and the source. Then there will be some properties where you find the mold is so extensive that it now falls outside of your scope. At this point, you'll want to fully document with photos and report on your PCR that you recommend a mold remediation company to come assess the property. Roof bids. Sometimes comes hand in hand at any time you are at a property and there is evidence of an active roof leak, the roof is in a poor or worn condition, or there's a hole in the roof. We must make sure we bid to address and correct. All roof damage bids must contain 3 bids: a bid to tarp, a bid to patch, and a bid to replace. All bids require accurate dimensions along with a detailed scope of work. There will be situations you will find where you are unable to provide all 3 bids. Example would be that you cannot tarp a flat roof. If this is the case, please provide the other 2 bids as required and state on your PCR as to why the 3rd bid was not provided. Dimensions. Your bids must always include dimensions. As a best practice, whenever you are bidding on such items such as fascia, soffit, gutters, downspouts, and railings, your dimensions should be measured in a linear foot. Whereas if you're bidding on items such as siding, drywall, and flooring, your dimensions should always be measured in a square foot. Failure to provide dimensions on a work order will cause the order to be returned to you to resubmit. As a recap, bids should always be provided on every work order that falls outside of an allowable or if the client requirements state as such. Make sure to bid on all preservation items and damages for property condition documentation purposes and revenue generating purposes. Please make sure bids always include dimensions, location, quantity, and a full scope of repair. Not having all this information will have the work order returned to you. For all roof bids, make sure the 3 required bids are submitted, including a bid to tarp, a bid to patch, and a bid to replace. Tools and equipment. This section will review all the tools and equipment required to complete work orders issued by Laudan Properties. This list provides all the necessary key codes and lockbox combinations commonly found on your work orders. It is important to have an inventory or access to all of these key codes, both in knob locks and deadbolts. Our client-specific requirements also utilize the 3-digit alphabetical and 4-digit numerical lockboxes. This listing displays the common combinations found on your work order. Please make sure you carry both types of lockboxes. Your work orders will advise on which key code and lockbox to install. This listing is the minimum equipment requirements in order to complete work orders issued by Laudan Properties. One specific equipment requirement to take note is the standalone pressure gauge under the winterization section. Our clients require the pressure test to be performed with a standalone pressure gauge and no longer accept the readout from the gauge in your compressor. If you do not carry a standalone pressure gauge, you should be able to purchase one at your local hardware store or from MFS Supply. Photo best practices. As you know, photos paint the picture of the property conditions and the work performed. Therefore, it's extremely important to strictly follow the photo requirements as outlined. This listing is the required photos to be provided on every work order issued by Laudan. This includes your address verification photos, including the street sign, house number, and full front of the house. Along with that, photos should be taken of all 4 sides of the property, any for sale signs if they're present. For any violation or any other service or notices, take a good close-up photo in order for us to clearly read. For all work completed, clear before, during, and after photos from all the same angles. Photos of all damages present at the property. Photos to support all bids provided. And for work orders calling for specific interior property condition photos, minimum of 2 photos from 2 different angles of each room. For all work you complete for Laudan, we require clear before, during, and after photos, all from the same angles. It is essential that your photos clearly support and justify the work performed. All photos should be easily identifiable to our processors in order for them to submit the results quickly to our clients. Laudan has created a photo checklist specifically to assist in ensuring the photo expectations can be met and to minimize orders being returned for missing documentation. You know that you start to lose money once you have to return to a property for a photo. Our photo checklist reviews every before, during, and after photo for the most common preservation services. This checklist is available in Property Pres Wizard and on our website. We highly recommend printing the checklist out and taking it to field to ensure 100% accuracy. Just to recap, make sure you provide all the necessary photos on every trip to the property, including address verification photos, for sale signs and/or violation servicer postings, photos of all damages, photos of all bids, and 2 photos of every room of the interior from 2 different angles when requested. By providing clear before, during, and after photos, you will be able to clearly support and justify the work performed to ensure prompt, accurate payment from our clients and to you. Property Condition Report. The Property Condition Report, or PCR, is the assessment of the property conditions at the time of your visit. This includes such information as if the property is secure, any debris present, damages such as mold or roof damages, lawn maintenance, and winterization. By being the eyes and ears for our clients, it is essential that we provide the most accurate assessment of the property conditions at the time of our visit. Again, this serves as a level of protection for you and for us in case of any future insurance and/or damage claims. Make sure when you are completing work orders for Laudan that you review and print out the PCR. The information requested varies by client and work order. Some PCRs can be 6 questions, while some are 6 pages. We recommend printing out the PCR, taking it with you to field to ensure you obtain all the required information. Please also make sure that you fill out a new PCR on every work order as only to report the most accurate property conditions. As a recap, make sure you fill out a PCR on every work order completed for Laudan. PCR information and questions may vary, so make sure you fully understand the information obtained out in the field in order to properly fill out the PCR. PPW. PropertyPresWizard.com, or PPW, is the workload management system we use. This is where your work orders will be dispatched to you and where you will upload your work order results. Your vendor management associate will email you a login and a password for PPW following this training. Once received, you can log into your account. Once logged in, your queue will appear. This is where your current open work orders will display. Towards the top is a series of search functions you can utilize to review the work orders you have completed. Your default settings will display all of your open work orders. By clicking on any of the wording on any of the work orders, it will open up the work order. Once open, you can review the work order instructions. You are also able to print out the work order and take it out to field. Once the work order has been completed and you're ready to upload results, you will work within the tabs inside the red box, working left to right. Right now we are on the General Info tab. As we work left to right, if you click on Job Notes, it will take you to this page. You can use this page to document any additional information on the work order or on the property itself. You can also utilize this section to send a note to anyone within Laudan. Under the To line, you'll be able to start typing the Laudan employee's name, and it will autofill for you. This section is great to use when you want to send a work order status or document a specific condition at the property. When you click on the next tab, PCR form, this will pull up the property condition report that needs to be filled out. At the bottom, it gives you the option to print out the form so you are able to take it out with you to field. After filling out the PCR, please make sure to click Save before moving on to the next tab. On the next tab, Bid Completion Info, is probably one of the most important tabs to be filled out in full and accurately. This is the section where you will fill out all of your bids for the work order, along with all the work you completed. By filling this out correctly, this will generate the photo flags that is required under the next section. As you fill out the bid completion page, please notice there are two sets of columns. The first set is where you will input all of your bids, while the second set of columns will be used to fill out all of the work that is completed. You will need to find the appropriate line description and follow the column and input on the correct set of columns, based on if you're bidding the item or if you are completing the work. If you don't find the correct description, towards the bottom there is a link that will allow you to add a line. From there, you will find a drop-down box that will display a larger list of descriptions. If you still can't find the correct description, you can use Other and type your own. Once completed, please make sure to hit Save before you move on to the Photo File Uploads tab. Under the Photo File Uploads tab, this is where you will upload all of your work order photos. Once you have uploaded your photos, you will need to label or flag all of your photos based on the work you completed or your bids. Inside the blue box will provide instructions on how to select photos for flagging. Once the appropriate photos have been flagged, you will see a flag tab on the right side of your screen. By clicking on this tab, a box will slide out with the available flags. Just select the correct description of your photo and click on the button to flag the selected photos. Perform this action for all the photos you have uploaded. Once complete, you are now ready to fill out the Invoice tab. Also, by filling out the Bid Completion tab accurately, this will autofill the work completed on your invoice. Just verify the information and pricing and click Save. It is a requirement to fill out an invoice, as this will track your accounts receivable, which you can pull up yourself on PPW. Once everything is completed, by clicking back on the General Info tab, you will find the Ready for Office box on the right-hand side of your screen. Once everything has been filled out, you can click on the checkbox named Ready for Office. Once this is checked, the work order is now available to Laudan for processing. Please note, if there is any missing information, such as an incomplete PCR or not all the photos were flagged, it will flash red and tell you what you're missing. Go back and make the necessary corrections and resubmit. If everything has been entered and flagged, it will flash green and tell you it was saved successfully. This is a copy of your work order once printed from PPW. Under the number 1 is your work order number. You will reference this number when calling into the office with a question or when providing a status. Number 2 will be the client. If you have a work order specific question, you can determine who the client is and contact the appropriate client lead. Number 3 will be the property address, and number 4 will be the work order instructions. Also, under the assignment and due dates, this will display the due date the work order results are required to be submitted to our offices. You will have up until midnight on that date to submit work order results. Laudan Performance Metric. Laudan Properties has put in place a performance metric to provide incentives to those vendors that consistently meet and exceed our performance expectations. If you maintain a 95 to 100% on-time percentage, you are eligible up to a 5% incentive bonus based on what you invoiced that month. In order to be eligible, you will need to meet our quality expectations of no more than 3 order sendbacks for that month and must complete a minimum of 5 work orders for the month. This can be a considerable bonus just for going out there, completing the work on time and correctly. We have vendors who meet this metric, and earn an additional couple $100 a month to over $1,000 every single month. Along with the incentives, we do have work order penalties on a per work order basis for when work is turned in past its due date. As you review the breakdown, this is why it's extremely important that you communicate when you are unable to complete a work order by its due date, whether you are submitting an extension request or contacting your vendor management associate explaining the circumstance. Communication is what is key here in order to provide quality performance and results to our clients. If you have any questions regarding Laudan Properties performance metric, please reach out to your vendor management associate. Our escalation matrix is made available to you to fully understand who to contact for what type of inquiry and who you can escalate that to. Our contact list will also provide you with who to contact. If you have a work order specific question, please contact the appropriate client lead. If you have a question regarding your territory or volume, or need to provide order statuses, or just have a general training question, please contact your assigned vendor management associate. We would like to thank you for participating in Laudan Properties' new vendor training webinar. I hope the information reviewed today has been helpful. We look forward to a mutually rewarding partnership. If you have any questions regarding this presentation, please don't hesitate to contact Laudan Properties for additional information. Thank you.